The doings was one of the most important things I remember Roy teaching us, was you have to have doings. And even if it's, one little thing that you're, looking at, that was a phenomenal pearl of wisdom.
You started out as a dancer.
Mm-hmm.
How old were you?
3.
Get out of here.
My parents thought that I was really clumsy, and because I kept falling and tripping over things, and so they put me in ballet school, and then they found out that I couldn't see. So it was later that I got glasses. So that's when it started, and then I kind of stopped for like a year, and then...
How old were you when you stopped?
Probably like 5 or 6.
Okay.
I mean, just like it was too far for my mom to drive or something like that. But even my first ballet teacher had me do privates with her because she said that she thought I was really going to make it. And then at 7, my best friend in first grade was taking ballet, so I wanted to take ballet again. I never stopped after that. And so that was the first time I went on stage, was at 7. I was a baby bluebird in the Bluebird at the Pasadena Civic, and I still remember the choreography. I do, I'm not kidding. We were a regional company, so we would perform at least twice a year, which was an amazing thing to be on stage at the Pasadena Civic from the age of 7 to 17. That's when I stopped my ballet career, and that's when I went to Hollywood and got my first gig in Hollywood. So I was still in high school, I think, when I first started working.
And now you worked with Vincent Patterson, who was also your best friend.
That was later.
How did you meet Vincent and Jackie and Bill, who were your mentors? Did you meet them all about the same time?
Like right around when I was 14, my older sister mentor, I will say. She wasn't my sister. She was my first kind of real mentor. She had gotten sick, and so I took over teaching her class at my ballet studio. When she came back, she said, you know what, you taught so amazing and you're so good at this, because I was teaching jazz class. And I realized early on that jazz was really much more of an expression for me than ballet. Ballet was great, but you have to be so freaking skinny. And the music for jazz just spoke to me, and just the movement and everything. So she started taking me to Hollywood when I was 14. My first dance teacher was Claude Thompson.
What studio was he teaching?
So he was at the Cornet Studio.
Okay.
And this was 8:30 on La Cienega, right across from Trashy Lingerie.
Yes. Trashy Lingerie used to be the place to go get your undergarments.
Oh yeah. He was Elvis's choreographer, and he choreographed Jailhouse Rock and all of this. So Claude was he was one of the great choreographers at the time. So I walk in, and I'm 14, with braids at Catholic school. We were both Catholic school girls together.
Except I didn't do high school.
All girls high school. Here I walk in, and it is all the working dancers of LA. Gay, Black, Hispanic, Asian, lesbians. And it was like the most electric energy I had ever walked into. I was in love. I mean, that was it. It was like a religious experience, truly. And that was just the walking into the room part. Right? Michelle Simmons was there, Jerry Grimes and Tony White and Steve Tutt. I mean, just the greatest dancers of that era, and it was an amazing era. And so...
And this was the 70s.
This was the 70s. This was 1974. So I was like a freshman in high school. So, well, no, maybe 73, actually. Then you would, stand in the back, if you weren't one of the divas, which I was not. And, there was a hierarchy. And today I kind of feel like that's a little bit lost, like you might be a diva a little too young, but you really had to work your way to the front of the class. I stood in back, and Dana looked at me like, okay, just follow me. Claude,
and who was Dana?
Dana was my mentor.
Oh, okay.
She was the one who had cancer,
yes.
Right. And so she brought me Tuesdays and Thursdays at night. This class started at 8:30 at night, so that my parents totally trusted what was going. I mean, it was great. So the end of that class, Jerry Grimes, who later gave me one of my first gigs, said, "How old are you?" And I said, 14. He goes, "Well, you're gonna be something." And I don't think I slept, for a week after that, because this man was gorgeous Jerry Grimes, and his boyfriend Tony White was just, I mean, they were like two of the most beautiful people I'd ever seen in my life. So yeah, that was my kind of intro into Hollywood. And you know, one mentor after another came into my life. Jackie and Bill. It was in Jackie and Bill's class that Vincent had come from Tucson, Arizona. Vincent didn't know anybody, and I was really his first friend.
Wow.
In LA.
And Vincent Patterson has become a great choreographer
Yes.
and a director, and he did a lot of the Michael Jackson.
Oh, he was Michael Jackson and Madonna's
Yes.
choreographers, and I mean, the list is beyond, I mean, it's endless.
He's in the Beat It video. He's the blonde guy.
Yes,
Yeah,
in the knife fight
yeah,
with Michael Peters, who is also
your
our
mentor.
mentor.
Yes.
Yeah, together.
And Michael Peters choreographed the 5 Heartbeats.
Right, and he was my To Serve With Love.
Ah!
That was Michael. He was really the one that just changed everything, another level inside me as a dancer. Did a ton of commercials with Vincent and ballet, and that's when Danny and I met, was when we were filming that ballet Threnody that he had choreographed for the Choreography Awards. Joe Pitka had been in the audience for the Choreography Awards, and he saw this ballet and he was crying. And Joe is like 6.5 feet tall with hair down to here, and every other word is the F word. So he thought it was the most beautiful thing he'd ever seen.
And who was Joe Pitka?
Joe Pitka, he was at the top of the field of commercial directors. Okay. Like he did the AHA commercials with the Pepsi girls and Ray Charles, and we did tons of Pepsi, Doritos, and on and on and on and on.
You're a dancer in LA, you're working, you're being very professional, and now you come into Roy London's class.
That was from Vincent.
Oh, okay. So Vincent was there first.
Vincent was in the Tuesday class. Remember the Tuesday class was like the first class. Vincent said, you really got to take from this guy, Roy London. It's in his living room, and they're starting a second class. So So I walk into this room, and there she is. You were kind of shy at first.
I was very reserved. I was very quiet. I had my glasses, I had my pigtails.
Right, she had your pigtails. And I had just been working with the LA Knockers, you know, like in Japan and wherever, and, you know, in this cabaret troupe. I had my hair like spiked up, like in like a Pebbles thing, you know. And Roy puts us together, and
that was it.
And then Lydia started telling me about her life. We would go to farmer's market when it was really just farmer's market, not like what it is now.
Before the Grove was even conceived.
Yeah. One day she starts telling me about her Catholic school and her life, and I had never heard anything like that. It was just, this is the most fascinating person I've ever met.
And because of that, you pushed me to work on my one-person show.
That's right. I said, Lydia, you have to write this down. These are the most incredible stories I've ever...
a bunch of years,
but we did it. We did it.
Yes,
you did it.
Yes, and you directed me.
The first time.
Yes,
the first time out.
I put it up.
Yeah.
You directed me.
Yeah.
And you would go with me to the Comedy Store, where we would workshop it, and every Friday we would go to Aroma Cafe in the Valley, and you would give me my notes, and I would be crying. Because when is it gonna get better?
Oh, but it was so gold. Lydia. You were so amazing.
Guess what? I've got this fabulous little bundle just for you, because you are a fabulous actor. I got it for you. So what do I got for you? Let me tell you what I got for you. I got the PR cheat sheet, which every actor needs. You need to know how to do your own PR until you get that job where you can pay for a PR person. Then I have the 12-step audition. That's another cheat sheet. You know, sometimes you get freaked out at auditions and you don't know what to do. Well, my 12-step audition cheat sheet will help you and guarantee that you will slam your audition every time. And the third thing I got for you is the casting sites. I have a list of casting sites so you can go and just submit yourself for that next big part. How does that sound? It sounds good, doesn't it? I might be biased, but I think we were so fortunate to study under Roy. What were 3 things that you got from being in Roy's class?
Understanding that my idea of a scene was not the scene. Like, what I imagined it to be was not the scene. He could break you.
And he
did. He broke me, and I just remember standing there crying like hysterically.
You were doing your scene with Ken Lerner.
Oh my God.
I remember you
Oh
coming
my
down
God.
the stairs of his living room, and you just like started bawling, and I wanted to punch him. That's my friend. He's making my friend cry.
Oh my God. And then he calls me the next day and says, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah," but I'm totally humiliated. When we were doing that scene, I forget what the scene, I played a prostitute, and Kenny was I don't know if he was my John or if he was just, I can't remember if he was just a friend or something. Anyway, it's a famous scene. I just don't remember it. I remember I had this crush on Kenny. And Roy thought, like, apparently in the scene, it really read that I didn't like him. And so Roy was kind of reading it, well, it's obvious how you feel about him. And I'm like, oh my God, he thinks that I don't like him. And that started the tears. Like, oh my God, I'm totally doing this wrong.
Well,
so
Roy was
the
really
first
good
thing.
about letting you come in, and for the first 3 months, he would just let you coast. He would just
Right.
watch you. He would give you little notes. And then in the 3rd month, he would go in deep.
He would go in for the kill.
And almost everybody cried.
Oh yeah. More than once.
Yes.
Yeah.
When my turn came,
Oh God.
I was determined he was not going to see me cry.
Yeah, I remember that.
And he was like, "You don't have anything to say? You're just looking at me?"
You just shut down.
Yeah, I just shut down. And he was like, "I don't want you to come back to this class." That was
God,
what he
I
said to
remember
me.
that.
"I don't want you to come back. That's why I don't like to teach young
He
people."
was going to get you no matter what.
He
And you were just shutting down.
I was
You
like,
know how to do
I was
that.
like, "You ain't." And then I remember getting in my car and I cried like a baby. But I was
Aw.
determined he was not going to see me cry. Then I came back the next week. I think it was California Suite that I was doing with, I don't remember who the person was. He just went in on me and I just would like look at him. He got like a rabid dog and I'm just still looking. He says, "You're not going to do anything? You're just going to look at me?" And I cried and I came back the next week and he looked at me and said, "I told you not to come back." And I was like, And then I did my scene.
Wow.
I had taken all the notes. And then he said, "It's about time."
Aww.
But
and we would applaud. We applauded. Yeah. And it was different. And absolutely. You know, and you had to get to that place of vulnerability and really.
Which is what he wanted.
Yes, and
to
what are the
open you.
doings? The doings was one of the most important things I remember Roy teaching us, was you have to have doings. And even if it's, one little thing that you're, looking at, that was a phenomenal pearl of wisdom. And
He didn't want a talking head.
No. And you had to do your work. You had to know where the beats were. You had to know, what did you want? And how do you win?
Make
a
hard
scene?
choices. Breaking down the script, all the beats. You had to know the beats.
Really taking the time in a scene. Starting with the first beat. Not playing the whole scene, but just play your first beat when you start. Because you can't play the whole scene. You can only play that first beat. But to have done your work,
Right.
your work had to be filled. And that was the thing about Roy, is that he would zero in and find that spot where you would become vulnerable, and then he would find his way in and you would feel what it felt like to be real in a scene. And that was magic. It wasn't the idea of the scene, playing the scene that became what you went for. It was letting go of it in a way.
Right, throwing it away.
Yeah,
Doing all the work,
yeah.
and then you throw it away and
Yeah.
let the magic come in. That's
Yeah.
what he would stress. Now you've done all your work.
Yeah, get it
Now
out of your
throw it away and
head
have fun.
and put it into your body.
Yes, whatever shows up, be present.
Right.
Because
Right.
that was the big thing for me. It was don't telegraph. Oh, I'm gonna get ready to do this next, and
Right.
that came because I wasn't present. That comes when, as an actor, you want to get to your next line,
Right.
instead of waiting and listening, the listening part, that he was very good about. Are you listening?
It's kind of like a relationship.
It is. Are you taking in what the person has just said to you? And how they say it to you is always going to be different. You know, you have to hear it different. And I think the greatest thing that I got from him, putting all that together and then being able to direct myself when I would go to do a TV show or a movie, and maybe the director did not really care about me. They were more focused on the lead actor, you know, getting the shot before lunch or whatever. That what I learned from Roy was, you know when you're on and you know when you're off. If you shoot something and you feel like you were off, and they're going to shoot it again, okay, where do I need to be on here? Work it for yourself. I found that to help a lot, because I think what I learned with Roy was, if you do your work well, then you only need one take. Whatever other takes they do, it's not because you didn't bring it. It had to do with technical stuff.
Right.
But if you did your work, even if the actor working alongside of you was not
giving you
technical, that by you just zooming in and wanting stuff from them made them go. And one of the first things that I learned and I was able to use is that Roy would say, get something from them.
Yes.
And so
I what do you want from them?
That's right.
What, do you want them to laugh? It can't be what do you want them to say, because there's the script. You know? Yeah, it would have to be an action. What's your action? And that was the big thing too.
And I remember doing a movie with Marsha Mason. And I was so excited about working with her. It was a scene with she and I, and she didn't look at me. And so I just stopped. I was like, I want her to look at me.
Girl, and she did.
Yes, she did. She looked at me like, did you forget your line? And there were many times that just in the audition, I booked the job because of the tools that I had gotten from Roy. And I used to carry 12 little points with me.
Royisms,
Yeah, you know, which were very similar to what Ivana Chubbuck has in her book, The Power of Acting, because she came, you know, from Roy. But I had a little yellow card, and I had my 12 points, and so every time I went to an audition, I would take out that card, I would go through it, I would fill in my beats and do whatever and go, okay, if I just hit 4 of these points in this audition, I've won. He gave so many tools for your arsenal.
And we were so lucky because we got him in the beginning.
Yes.
And then he became this big famous teacher, you know, Sharon Stone and Cher and Brad Pitt and Juliette Lewis and, you know,
Gary Shanley, Jeff Goldblum and Gina Davis, and the list goes on and on and on.
And I remember when Roy turned to us one day and he said, how does it feel to be the queen bee?
And we were so
excited. We had come through so much, but we felt it.
Yes.
It was like, you know, like in a relationship.
Well, we earned the right, like you said, to move from the back of the line to the front.
And we knew our worth, and we knew, we understood it in a way that was integrated into our being. It was such an incredible moment. And we killed it when we get up there. Every time.
Yes. And we would do great. Well, I just say we were great. Well, we did a lot of sitcom stuff that really wasn't part of the class. You know, he would assign a lot of plays, but we would bring in Laverne and Shirley, or we would find a play that was comedic, and then we would load it up with doings.
Oh my God, Hannah and her sisters. We did all the Woody Allen movies.
Was it Mother's Day? Me, you, and Elise Cutter.
Yeah,
Elise Cutter. And the other thing that I loved learning in Roy's class was when you were really doing your work, how your face changed. To this day, when I'm looking at actors, I can always tell when they're really doing their work because their face changes and it radiates. When you're watching TV, turn down the sound and watch, and that will tell you if they're telling the truth.
You know who he loved was Barbara Stanwyck.
Yes.
Remember?
Yes.
And it's absolutely true. It's through the eyes, it's through
the
body, it's through their being. You're absolutely right.
Yeah. You found out he got sick and we were calling.
Well,
how are you, Roy? And just leaving messages, because towards the end, it was just about leaving messages.
We wrote him a letter.
Yes.
Nobody would let us in.
Yes.
So we just put it under the door.
Oh, that I
remember
forgot
that?
about that. Yeah, I just remember leaving him messages.
We love you, Roy.
I love you, Roy. Yeah, that's what he was
hard.
like a dad.
He was.
He was like
he was totally.
And I would give him Father's Day cards all the time.
Oh my God, he loved that.
He did. He loved that. And I would come early, and I would always. It took a long time. I'd beg him to be the monitor. He says, "You can't. You're a girl." I go, "But I want to be a monitor. Why can't I be the monitor?" He said, "Because you're a girl." Right towards the end, he let me be the monitor.
Oh my God!
And then we moved to this facility that I hated, and I was like, "Oh, so now I'm a monitor."
Right, in a funky place.
Yeah.
It was Judy Landau's place for the longest time. That was phenomenal.
Yes, we love you, Roy.
We love you, Roy.
So much.
Oh my God.
So at some point towards the end of you being in Roy's, you decided you wanted to start a workout business.
So what happened was I went to London and then I came back and...
Right, you studied at Lambda.
Right. Then I came back and I was working and I had come back from Japan at that point. I was getting more into singing though too.
Right, because you started... taking classes.
Yeah, I was really.
But you also were doing Shakespeare classes.
I was doing a lot of Shakespeare class. I was doing a lot of opera. I was studying opera at that point. So I think that was my transition. Also, my first husband and I got into personal training, and he was a major actor from New York. He came out here in Equus, and so it was really his friend Brad Blaisdell, who we just lost, who said to Mark Vahanian, you know how to do all this workout stuff, because Mark had a beautiful body and he was always in shape. He was always taking dance classes and always really taking good care. And so Brad was getting work. He needed to know what to do to get his body in shape. And it was then at that time that Ted Danson had done Body Heat, and I think he was just about to do Cheers and stuff like that. And so he asked Mark to start working with him. Somebody introduced Mark to all these people in Beverly Hills, like one person, and then that person just literally opened the faucet. And so Mark would work out the men, and then I started working out their wives. So that's what started this business in the 80s. There was a couple of people doing personal training,
right,
like Body by Jake,
right.
And there was other stuff. Nothing like today.
Right.
We got enough money to put money down for a house. I mean, it was a lot more secure and lucrative, and it was every day. And my first client, I got $25 for the hour, which was a huge amount of money. I mean, I was making like $5 an hour at being an aerobics instructor at that point, because you would do dance gigs or whatever, but I mean, you'd get a union job and that would be a week. And then 6 months later, you get another union job. I mean, you didn't work all the time at that point. This was a lot of money. And so we saved a lot and we bought our first house after our first year of being married, but it was not really what I wanted to do. It felt too far away from dance, but it was great money. So then my dancer friends and I heard about this teacher, Romana Krzyzanowska, who was Joseph Pilates' protege. And there were several proteges still alive, and she was one of them. And there was sort of a generation, under her that was around, the Ron Fletchers and Stefan and all of that. But we were sort of like the next bunch. When we took her workshop, we were like, oh my God, it was another one of those falling in love moments where this woman who was, I think, in her 70s, 77 even at that point, and had been a Balanchine dancer. I mean, her story was fascinating. She was married to this Peruvian, practically prince, who was then murdered. She came back to New York and Pilates put her to work. I mean, that's a whole other story. But Romana was just one of the best teachers I had ever had, because she taught from pure kindness. And she really taught me that encouragement and kindness and finding a way over here, that you're the guide.
And you've learned it well, because you are so encouraging and so gentle and so kind. as an instructor?
Well, I mean, from dance and all of that, it was mostly people yelling at you, and what do and doing that whole kind of number, putting you down a lot of time. Not always. I mean, certainly, I had great teachers and they didn't, I wasn't from that, where they would beat me or anything like that, generation. But there was definitely times where you would be very discouraged as a dancer from not getting a gig that your best friend got, but I felt like I could dance. But, there was a whole bunch of things. With Romana, how she taught me and how she taught all of us was from this place of generosity and kindness and how do you bring somebody in that's maybe never moved before or coming in with pain or frightened or whatever. How do you transform that into self-confidence and strength? And it comes from experience too, but how do you use your intuition and of course your tools and your knowledge and experience, but your intuition to get into that person's body and feel what they feel in order to really give them the class that brings them to that next level of where they're out of pain and they're and more secure inside themselves, so that's kind of how I feel like it makes the world a better place when they can walk out feeling better than when they walked in. And so maybe they'll do a good thing for somebody out there if they're not in pain, because pain can also put you in a cranky mood and you lose your patience and stuff like that. But when you get out of pain and when you have that kind of self-confidence, you can maybe give that to others too.
So then once you made that transition from just working people out to getting into Pilates, what made you want to do a DVD? Because you have a DVD.
Right. From going to people's homes, that was getting to be kind of a bummer. And so with Pilates, all the equipment was at my house. So then everybody had to come to me, and I love that. The DVD kind of came about, like I thought about it for a really long time before I did it. When I got divorced, and Vincent said to me, he looks at me, he goes, "We're gonna do your video now." Back then it was video. And so what that did, because when you go through a divorce, it's like a death. I mean, it's horrible, and you feel like a piece of your body is gone because this person has been so much part of your life. And it's somebody you love, but, it didn't work for whatever reason. So what that did is it forced me to really decide what did I want this to look like, because Pilates was still a word that was not mainstream yet.
Avant-garde at that time.
Well, dancers knew about it because Balanchine had sent all of his injured dancers to Joseph Pilates. And that's how the dance community, as well as the neighborhood playhouse. I mean, Katharine Hepburn went there, Marlon Brando went there, Martha Graham actually studied with Pilates. So all these incredible actors would study with Pilates. So there were certain groups of people, the ladies that would go to the Russian tea room. Anyway, so I really had to think about what I wanted to put on screen. For me, I felt like the modifications were so important to show in the video or in the now DVD. And how do I do that? I mean, do I do each one? You have to imagine it. You have to create it in your mind. It goes through 100 different transformations. I decided, okay, modifications. I went to New York. I hung out with Romana for a couple of weeks. I kept asking her questions. Okay, for, the hundreds, what would, I want to make sure that this is the right modification for knees, back, and neck. So we really went through for neck, back, and knee issues or problems, delicate areas, what would be the right modification, because you're only going to do one per exercise, so which one would be the best one. Right. So we really worked on that, and I'm really proud of, how it turned out. And so I put everybody in different colors, and each person represented a different modification for back, neck, or knee issues. I did it for just a normal, healthy body. And so when I showed Romana the finished product, she loved it, which was huge, as well as the person that was the head of the Pilates Guild of New York, Sean Gallagher. They both really, really liked it. And then the Pilates name became generic. right as I was going into print so I could actually put the Pilates name on my DVD. So it was really kind of one of the early ones. It was then that Mari Windsor became pretty well known. She had a bazillion celebrities. She had tons of press.
What is it, Ranker?
Gunthy Ranker. Gunthy Ranker got in touch with her, and
they're the ones that did the first Anthony Robbins infomercials on Anthony Robbins that you saw all the time, all night long.
Yeah.
That was them.
But it was really Mari, you know, bless her heart and soul, who is, you know, really struggling. She has a incredibly difficult disease now. It was Mari that really catapulted the Pilates name. It was through her videos and her brilliant teaching, and she was a brilliant teacher and very supportive to me. I mean, we were dancer friends together. She had a Pilates studio, but sort of her own thing, and then we all got certified together, and then she then brought in all these different celebrities in her studio, and then that turned into a, you know, huge business.
You got certified through UCLA, was that it?
No,
I remember you.
Oh, that was personal training.
Oh, okay.
That was personal training. No, I got certified with Romana.
Okay.
I went to Romana's studio and stood next to her and taught her students while she was teaching one of her other students, and I was just teaching next to her for weeks.
Wow.
And that was how I got certified. Just that's, I mean, it was pretty awesome.
And you're still teaching Pilates.
Oh yeah.
Which is fantastic.
I love it. Yeah.
Now, a few years ago, you decided you were going to pick up the camera.
I'd always wanted to go to Africa. Right? And so I said to Danny, we're going to Africa.
Her husband.
My husband.
Kayla.
Yes. It took about a year to kind of really put the trip together, because it's another one of those creative things. You know, I wanted to trek with the gorillas. I wanted to go to the Masai Mara. I wanted to see the Great Migration. I wanted to see the flamingos and the rhinoceros, and Danny wanted to go to Victoria Falls. So I put this trip together, and I thought, I better learn how to shoot a camera. I mean, a good camera. You know, I'm not going to just do a point and shoot. Are you kidding? You're going to Africa. So my friend had this photography teacher. I employed him. Our first class was going to Bel Air Camera, getting a camera that he figured he could teach me to use in about 3 months. And so I got this Sony 6000 mirrorless. It was one of the first mirrorless cameras. He taught me about f-stop and ISO and shutter speed and, you know, basically how to shoot wildlife, which is really all about shutter speed and, you know, your f-stop and all of that kind of stuff, for figuring out how to photograph the gorillas in the Bwindi impenetrable forest, which is pretty dark. I mean, it's not dark like night, but it's pretty dark. I would close all of the curtains in the living room, and I would put Bo in the living room, you know, because
he's a black lab.
He's a black Labrador, and
that's pretty smart, though.
I thought so too.
Pretty smart.
Thank you. And so I had to figure out, okay, where's my ISO gonna go? You know, I watch that shutter speed. You know, get that ISO up so that shutter speed can be at least like 1/1000 or whatever. And if you're shooting birds, it's 2,000. You know, it had to be at least at 1/1000. You know, you want your ISO as low as you can't have it, but you know, so you're really looking at everything for those shots. David Skurnick is my teacher, gave me as much info as he could, and I wrote everything down, and he gave me pointers, you know, like your, you know, cheat sheet for your, you know, from Roy. Yes. I had my cheat sheet, and I would study it every day. We get to Africa, and oh my God, I mean, everybody has to go to Africa. I mean, it is the most amazing place. You get there, and it's a vibe like no other place in the world. All of mankind came from Africa, came from the Great Rift Valley. I mean, they know that from Lucy and from the skeleton that was found, and from the tools, and all of that is where mankind really was birthed. You feel it, you know it. There's a place you feel like you're home, and I can't explain it. Other than that, it's just deep. It's not a feeling here, it's like a cellular feeling. So anyway, trekking through the rainforest and all of this, and it's a 2.5 hour trek up, and you have these porters that take your stuff, and really, as I told Danny, I said, that's like the best dance partner I've ever had, because they know the exact right moment to take your hand, the exact right moment to help you up, and exactly when to let you go. I mean, it's just kind of amazing, them helping you up and down this, this mountain. AK-47 in front, AK-47 in back. You never know. You're in Uganda. I get my photos and I think, oh my God, I probably didn't get very good ones, but I mean, I did the best I could, because, I didn't bring my computer or anything with me. I'm just looking through my, my viewfinder, and I think, oh my God, I think I got some in the light. And then I got home and they turned out really well.
You got to sell some of them.
I have.
Yeah, you created some beautiful postcards.
I was really proud of them. And my teacher was really proud of me. And, and of course, Danny was thrilled. I love doing this, and being in front of the camera all my life was, I'm very comfortable, but being in back of the camera, it was kind of like just mine. You want to find something in life that's just yours, and
you don't have to audition for it.
No, you don't have to audition. You don't have to raise your hand. Like pick me. It's something that you can share with others. And now, with Instagram, you can share it really with others easily. I mean, before it was just, you'd print it out and you'd print out extra
you make everybody
photos.
Come and sit and watch.
Yeah. But now you can easily, get them out there. And it's really, I have to say, really a great creative extension of my personality.
So I want to now move into friendship because of the fact that you are probably one of my oldest friends out here. Only 2 other people I've had a friendship as long as I've had with you in Los Angeles.
Yay.
And what I have loved about our friendship, first of all, is that you always celebrate me. When we get together, it's like so exciting. It's always fun. There's never a competition. I never feel judged. Ever. In the Bible, one of the greatest friendship is between David and Jonathan. David was king. Jonathan was the son of the king before David. They had a friendship that was thicker than anything. And I thought, that's my friendship with Suzi. We've been through the roughest times together. We've cried together. We've laughed together.
We've been through a lot of dark stuff together. A lot of happy stuff.
We've celebrated creativity together. We've created together. We've encouraged each other. And there's another scripture that reminds me of our relationship, which is iron sharpening iron. That we sharpen each other. Not in a negative way, but it's like, go. Okay. And there's this sharpening that has continued. You have friends for a season, friends for a reason, and friends for a lifetime. And I feel like our friendship is the lifetime friends. Like no matter where we are, no matter what we're doing, if you call, I'm there. If I call, you're there. There is no, how you doing? I gotta go. We don't have that. It's deep. So I wanted to just kind of unpack what friendship is, because what I've learned is there are a lot of people who don't really know what a real friendship is. Like that word, we say it so flippantly. This is my friend.
Yeah, my BFF.
Yeah, and it's like, wait a minute, you just met this person 2 weeks ago. They can't be your friend. They can be an acquaintance. They could be a co-worker, but they're not your friends. Friendship happens over time. I mean, you can bond with somebody immediately, but in Hollywood, usually you bond with people if you're on a set or you're working on a project, your immediate best friends, right? For that month or the 2-month period that you're working on the project. And then when the project is over, you never see that person again. What are the qualities of friendship that you look for in people?
There's a certain thing about being in the same tribe, and you and I are in the same tribe, and I don't know how you really describe that, except that we're absolute kindred spirits. We get who the other one is. There is no judgment. There never has been on anything, and there's been times where you could have judged me. I know that.
And
you never did.
Yeah.
The difference is we read each other with kindness. anything that you have said to me that's been like, okay, let's be brutally honest here, has never been like you're mad at me or you're judging me or you're being critical or any of that. I can't say I've been that to everybody. I have been critical and judgmental to other people. I know that. But maybe that's because I don't feel safe with them.
So safety is important in friendship.
I think that if I don't feel safe with somebody, they're not going to be my friend. Also, being a good friend means being a good friend. Not just them coming to you, but you going to them. I mean, you've been there for me. When I really needed you there, you have absolutely, boom, I'm there. You know?
Oh, absolutely.
You know?
I gotta go.
Like, I gotta go. And same here. It's
yes,
like,
that's right.
you know, something like, okay, I'm out. Just cancel the rest of my day if I have to,
yes.
you know? And I don't do that for that many people.
When I found out I was pregnant, you were there.
I was there.
And when I delivered, you were in the hospital. You spent the night on the floor, you and Blair.
I held that baby girl.
That's right.
Well, you took a shower.
That's right. And I would call you. There would
I need a shower.
I can't take a shower.
I know.
And when Jack died, or when he was getting ready to transition, and you was like, Jack is dying. I'll be right there.
I know, you were right there.
And these are her dogs. And when Magruder got lost, we can't find Magruder. I'll be right there.
Oh my God, you were.
And so to me,
and those are just like the things we remember.
Yeah, I tell everybody about my trip to Idaho with your family. What I learned, and over the years I've learned so much from you just as a friend, but one of the things that I learned on that trip, because I was so afraid of heights, and you were so gentle and kind with me, and you just said, just put one foot in front of the other. Don't look down, just one foot in front of the other. That instruction has served me to this day. That when something comes up, I go, just one foot in front of the other. That's all you have to do. Just one. Don't look all the way down the road. Right now, one foot. Just move that foot.
That's right. We did it. We walked all the way down that hill.
That's
or
right.
that mountain. Or
It
was
was scary. For me, it was scary.
Yeah.
But you took your time with me. And I love that about our friendship. That there is that sacred place of kindness, grace, generosity, teaching. We listen to each other. You know, that I never feel like you're shutting me out, or you're shutting me off. I can't talk to you right now. You know, I always feel welcomed, like I'm surrounded in love. And so to me, that's friendship. That grace is extended. Because I mean, I could go on and on of all the things that I've learned just by being in your company, you know, like learning how to make a meringue. You know, when I think of people who have influenced me, you're that person. You know, like just everyday stuff. Like, I'm going to make a pie. You are. I'm going to come and we make a pie. I'm going to paint the new house. I'm coming to paint. I never painted in my life, but it was just the learn, you know, it's like, oh yeah, we paint, we go up and down. We don't go this way, we go up and down. And so being able to share with you where I grew up, taking
the
you
coolest thing.
Taking you through Spanish Harlem and saying, don't look at the people. They're like animals. Don't look at them. Just keep walking. Don't look, Suzi. Don't look.
Oh my God. And Marcus, I was so nervous that you were taking me. I'm like, I think I'll be fine. You know? Just the fun that we have. I mean, every single thing that we do is fun. But also the wisdom that you have given me in how to deal with people that are difficult in my life, that have been, you know, not such great friends, or within my own struggles, how do I deal with this? You always have these incredible pearls of wisdom, and you always will pray with me. Like, I'll always say, okay, this person's dying or this person's sick, and you're, all right, we'll pray. Your ability to just pray perfectly, like put it down into words exactly what I'm feeling, but I wouldn't say with that kind of articulation. It's like I always can depend on you to say what needs to be said so that the universe hears it, or God hears it. It's like you always calm me down when I can get frantic about, you know, because there's crazy stuff that happens, and you know, as good as a life may look,
But that's,
man,
I think that's
chaos
what friendship
is
is.
right on the edge.
A good healthy friendship
Yeah.
is talking people off the ledge.
Well, don't worry. I haven't ever like been on the ledge.
No, but you know what I'm saying? It's that thing
no,
of
where you get like your emotions
not inciting you.
Yeah.
You know, because there are a lot of friends that will incite you, and I used to
yeah.
have those friends. Yeah, you go and kick their ass. Go, don't take that, and then I get beat up.
And with you and I, there is no insecurity about the love we have for each other. And the connection that we have. I mean, we always have fun. Like, always. Like, every time. I don't care if it's on the phone or I'm coming over to, like, you know, talk to Alexia to have her give me a computer class. We still have fun.
Yes. You know, if I had to put it down on paper and go, okay, what is it about the friendship? I would say, number one, it's celebration.
Totally.
We celebrate everything, and we celebrate each other. We are respectful of each other. We support each other no matter what, and we listen to each other. We know not to cross certain lines.
I don't think it even occurs to us.
No, but
I mean, I've never even thought about crossing a line.
Yeah,
with
but
you.
a good friendship is you don't take the other person for granted. We take people for granted, or we make demands on a friendship,
or people question it.
Yes.
And it's like, oh my God, do I have to keep proving myself? Am I still auditioning?
Yes.
Why am I still auditioning for this friendship?
Yeah, and
it's like we stopped the audition.
Well,
like,
we didn't have an audition.
We never even didn't audition.
We just saw each other like, oh, that's my sister.
Okay, it's karmic, baby.
Yeah,
I
think
it's
it was
a karmic
just,
relationship.
Yeah, I think it was just an immediate, it's us against everybody else in the class.
Absolutely.
I think that, everybody in the class were divas, and here we are.
And we were like,
we were the oddballs. Mm-hmm. So I think that was the immediate connection.
Yeah.
In that everybody was a bit older than us, and they were probably more experienced and had an air, and we were naive.
We were naive.
We did not
we got to go through naivete together.
Yeah, we didn't have. You're like, yeah, okay. But I just think that in friendship, it's trust. It's protecting each other's secrets. That you have somebody that you can share everything with.
Yeah. And
not feel like they're going to go off and tell somebody else.
And not even have to say that.
Yeah.
I think it's sacred.
Yeah.
I mean, a friendship is something that is a sacred space that two people hold. That's really it.
Yeah. I wanted to take a little time out just to focus on the friendship, because 40 years is a long time to be somebody's friend and continue to grow with that person. And, we celebrate each other's birthdays. We celebrate holidays together. I'm always up in your family's house.
And they call you their daughter.
And it is, I think it's important especially for artists, to have that friend. Because sometimes life gets so hard, or you're going through such a rough period. You need a couple of things. You need a grounding in a spiritual belief, and you need that friend.
Yeah.
And then you need...
who knows really your essence.
Yes.
And they know who you really are. All I have to do is hear your voice. I'm already calmer. If something's happened with my parents or my sister or whatever, I just need to hear your voice, and it's already a calmer, more still, a peaceful place. And I can hear everything you say to me. There's something about hearing your voice that I don't go off in, in another headspace. Mm-hmm. It's like I can just be totally grounded. Mm-hmm. You ground me. Mm-hmm. You ground me. That's really the word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love you, Suzi.
I love you, Lydia.